What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Well, it's exactly why I know the episode number for this week.
Okay.
It's the only reason why. Welcome. Sorry, I'm just staring at a random neighbor walking past. Not creepy at all. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 70 of the F1 Underground podcast. As always, my name is Owen. That is my sister Casey. We meet weekly, and we meet weekly. I'm still in like work mode. God,
we meet weekly.
God almighty. We hang out. We talk. We talk about F1 stuff every week, and then we publish our lovely voices out to all of you friends who enjoy this content and like this content for some weird reason. Because
for some weird reason.
We don't know why anybody would listen to us, but there are some of you.
No, because like if I have to go back and listen to something, I'm like cringing. I can't do it.
Hate hearing my own voice. But yes, welcome. We are officially in summer break mode. Officially in silly season mode. Some news has broke already. It kind of got kicked off to a good start, which is we're gonna cover that. We're gonna talk about Spa, and then we're gonna go over to our new segment, the F1 Threads Mailbag. So, got a good episode today. I'm excited about it. And then Casey, after we're done recording this, we'll be hopping on the latest episode of the Light the Flame podcast. So make sure when you're listening to this episode, that episode should be out as well. So make sure to go listen to that episode. Casey's probably going to be talking about gymnastics today because it was a huge day for the U.S. women's gymnastics team.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be recapping a lot that happened today, and there was a lot. Historic things, some misses. So yeah, we're going to talk about a lot. We'll be joining Kyle once we're done here. We will jump into it. For the second time in show history, as we get into our meme of the week, Owen and I have
planned this. We did not plan this at all.
Disclaimer, I was like, I need a meme. I was like, what meme do I pick? And then I was like, I know exactly what meme to pick. Yes, we have the same meme of the week for the second time in 70 episodes. So
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because if we have the same meme, then there's no.
No. So yes, here is our shared meme of the week. I just took a screenshot and posted it because it was easier. So McLaren, obviously we will get into it later on with the whole Mercedes DQ, George Russell. McLaren today posted this video of Oscar talking about the weight of the car and describing it and everything. The comments are hilarious. Everyone's just like, McLaren, I literally commented, I said, McLaren, the timing. They're so... Listen, McLaren social media admins had a lot of misses recently. They deserve a good hit. They deserve a good hit because they've had a lot of things that were just blatantly wrong. Someone, I bet this has nothing to do with George. McLaren, the timing, that felt intentional. Mercedes be like, explain it to us like we're 5. Someone pretending to be Mercedes, but thanks, babe. Welcome to summer school. My name is Oscar, and I'll be your teacher. Says Mercedes right now with the note take, like writing emoji. It's literally a video about the weight distribution in F1 with Oscar explaining it, but the timing is perfect.
I want to know. And I really, really want to take the video and post it on Threads and at McLaren and see if I can get them to answer and say, was this filmed before Spa? Because
no, it definitely was.
That would be even better if it was it most likely was. And then the fact that they did it and they decided, hey, let's post it now, which keep in mind, this is Tuesday. We're 2 days fresh off a Spa. McLaren was like, this is a layup. Let's just throw it out there.
They were like, it's just easy engagement. Let's just hit submit, post, whatever. I don't know if they had it scheduled or drafted for later, They're like, nah, scratch that. We have to do it now.
For months down the road.
Yeah.
Like October. And they were like, let's fucking post this now.
Say less. We need to do this right now. Yeah. Shout out to you, McLaren. That was excellent trolling on your part. I have to say.
Excellent trolling.
But like I said, second time in the show's history, Owen and I had the same meme of the week. So that was our meme of the week segment because we don't need to do more, and I only had one. So
super easy.
Yeah, easy. Before we get into the week, easy. Before we get into the weekly news, just want to give our friends over at ipf1store.com a shout out. As always, the code is scrolling at the bottom through the entire show. If you're watching us on YouTube, the code, if you're listening, is underground10. No vowels except for the U at the beginning. You can use that over at their website, ipf1store.com, to shop. When you place an order, get 10% off. They have everything now. Pieces of art, coffee mugs, hats, t-shirts, anything. So yeah, use that code when you check out for 10% off. Into weekly news.
Weekly news.
Carlos Sainz fans, the wait is finally over.
The dominoes have fucking fallen.
Quote, I am clipping out.
That was bad. That was really bad. Let's just keep going. Move on.
To quote Kevin Magnussen, the cork has popped. It's ready. The ball will be rolling. The avalanche is coming. The other drivers are easily going to fall into place. But yes, the wait is over. It was announced yesterday. Carlos Sainz is going to Williams next year. He has signed a multi-year contract, which is exactly what I thought he would have signed because that's what he wanted from Ferrari, and they didn't want to give it to him. But yes, it moved so fast yesterday because you had Williams tweet the eyeball emoji.
Yeah.
And then they pulled a mark, and then he had all the other F1 journalists retweeting it with the eyeball emojis, and then literally 2 seconds later, Williams hits the announcement. I was like, you didn't even give us time to be like, speculation. Well, I mean, it was like the worst. It was another worst kept secret, especially when this weekend Will Buxton showed a photo of the Sainz crew going into the Williams hospitality. There was someone else that had a picture of them coming out of the Williams hospitality, so something was coming. Something was coming.
Yeah, the speed of like the tease and then the official announcement. I mean, it was like I had post notifications turned on for Chris Medlin, and he literally posted the eyeballs, and then maybe 5 minutes later, at most, posted confirmed Carlos Sainz going to Williams, blah blah. Like, I was like, oh shit! Like, I did not realize that it was going to be like that fast. Like, I thought it was at least going to be like tease the eyeballs, and then the next day post the news.
Or like a few hours. Like, give us something. Because I literally posted Chris Medlin, and I screenshotted a couple of the other reporters that retweeted it, and I was like officially turning on post notifications for Williams. I hit post. Literally 2 seconds later, we get the tweet from Chris Medlin saying it's official. Casper, one of our loyal followers, was like, no, it's just announced. I was like, yeah, I was like, I turned those post notifications right off because it was.
Yeah.
I wanted to scroll back. It doesn't even give you the. Oh, no, here you go. So Williams posted the eyeballs at 10:20 in the morning yesterday.
Yeah.
He retweeted it, Chris Medlin, at 10:28. At 10:30, it was confirmed.
What?
They said, you don't get any time.
You know what it is, too? It's like, it's got to be, the speed of it definitely, I think, highlights the fact that this was a horribly kept secret. It was just like, I mean, we've had the most speculating part about Carlos's, contract was, like, how long is it going to be? Because there were the rumors about Audi in 2026 and whatnot and everything, and it's just like, Yeah, but I mean, we saw how many teams for him? We saw Williams, we saw Red Bull, we saw Mercedes at one point.
Alpine.
We saw Alpine. Like,
he was even linked to Haas. Like, it's like a baseless rumor, but he was linked to every single team that had an open seat.
I don't, in terms of whether this is a good move for Carlos or not, I think it really depends on how you view Williams right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you see them as the team that is still struggling and the team that is in the back of the field and is not doing good at all, you're going to say, this is a horrible move for Carlos. What the hell is he doing? If you see Williams as a team of, okay, they're kind of on the rise. They're in the middle of a rebuild. We've seen James Val say, hey, I'm updating the factory because, there's machines that are this large that should be this large. The
spreadsheet.
Right. The spreadsheet, if you view them as that, it might look a little bit more enticing and more understandable why Carlos went there. And, I think the one big thing for him was, now I'm not saying that Alex is a bad driver, but I think the biggest thing for him is this, at least in comparison to Ferrari, it is much more of a clear-cut picture of who's the number one driver and who's not the number one driver.
Yep.
And I think that's a big thing for Carlos. I think that's like the one thing he wants is, I want to be viewed as the number one driver. And I don't want any more of this like wish-wash, who is it going to be? I want none of that shit anymore. I want number one driver. Okay, maybe some weekends Alex gets priority if he qualifies better or something, or if he's, maybe he overtakes in a race. But boom, I am the veteran here. I'm going to be number one. I think that's a big thing for him.
I agree. I also think I've seen a lot different people say this. I think next year is going to continue to be a rebuilding year for Williams. Do they start with the new regs? And you don't know what the new regs are going to look like for any of the other teams. So like they could be at the front. Like I think it's going to have some growing pains with Carlos, and like because he's used to being at the front of the grid every weekend, finishing and stuff. So I think it will take some getting used to. But I mentioned it before. I was watching the Ash Vandelay and Elizabeth Backlock Twitch streams earlier, and they were saying that Carlos is a team or engineering mechanics dream because of the input that he can give, because of the input his dad can give. They have that engineering mechanical mind frame because he's been, this is fifth team now. He was Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren, Ferrari, Williams. This is his fifth team now. Like that's a lot of experience to bring with you.
Knowledge,
and especially like he has the Red Bull side from being in Toro Rosso and the Red Bull driver program. He has the Renault engines from being in Renault. Then he has McLaren. Then he has Ferrari, who is historical, and now he's going to Williams, who is a historical team. So I think that is it. I think it's going to be a good fit. I also agree he wouldn't have gone to Williams if there wasn't a clear cut, like, no, you will be our number one. Yeah. And I do feel bad for Alex because he's been there for so long, and they kind of have said this past year that that's their guy. They're going to continue to develop and stuff and use him. But I don't think they'll be a bad pairing. I don't think they're going to be a bad driver pair, the two of them.
No, they're the only drivers on the grid who don't have their appendixes. So
true, they're already less weight. Can't get DQ'd for that.
They got something to bond over. Does that count towards your minimum weight limit?
Does it really weigh that much? I've seen people saying Carlos deserved better. Carlos deserved a top team seat. There was no top team seat to get. It just didn't exist. And I know everyone's but Red Bull, Mercedes, Will Buxton, I forget what it was. It was during a practice session. Point blank, plain as day, said on the TV, Red Bull was a pipe dream for Carlos. Yeah. He was not going back to Red Bull because of the history that he had with Toro Rosso, the junior program with Max, and how they did not get along. And
nope.
Carlos wants to be number one. You are not going to Red Bull and being number one over MaxVerstappen. I'm sorry, you're not.
God, no.
And then they also said Mercedes was not happening because Mercedes is so dead set on Kimi Antonelli, and Kimi Antonelli continues the past few weeks to really show. I mean, I posted the clip of him in the F2 race that literally only lasted like 7 laps. The overtake is... The kid is boss.
So clean.
He's so close to the wall. They easily could have hit and both spun out because it was raining.
Yeah.
Did not. The cleanest overtake. Yeah, that's what Will Buxton was basically like. The doors to Mercedes and Red Bull have been closed. That was never been I mean, I feel like if anything, it's been like a one-sided story with Carlos and this whole contract scenario. But yeah, Saga. He is going to Williams. We have it finally. I do think that means Kimi Antonelli will be in the Mercedes seat. I have us down at the end. We can kind of touch on it now because it kind of goes perfectly. I do think the other seats get announced pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they now fall into place. There's 3 seats available. It's Sauber, Alpine, and what's the other one?
No, Haas is solidified.
Hey, let's talk about that. Haas is solidified.
Yes, Haas is solidified.
I'm looking it up. You can talk about it.
It's so official news broke. Ali is confirmed, and then why am I blanking?
It's V-Carb. It's V-Carb, Alpine, and it's V-Carb.
That's what I'm kind of destroying Haas. But yes, V-Carb is the other open seat. Yes. Because
they have Mercedes on the graphic, but everyone knows that's Kimi Antonelli's seat to lose at this point.
Especially after, like we said, especially now that Carlos is confirmed to be Williams, which obviously Williams and Mercedes work hand in hand. I mean, George Russell was a driver for Williams before he was a driver for Mercedes. And it was, Williams is the pseudo farm team for Mercedes. It's like it's not as clear as cut as like V-Carb to Red Bull, but it is.
Yeah, but it's like what AlphaTauri used to be or not AlphaTauri, it used to be like what Alfa Romeo was to Ferrari, or now what Haas is to Ferrari. Yeah.
Right. So it makes sense, but yeah, I definitely think with Carlos locking it in at Williams, that lineup is done. They don't have to worry about it anymore. They're good to go. I think the Mercedes seat is definitely going to be Kimi Antonelli's. And I agree with you that I think the other seats now are really going to kind of fall into place because, like I said, that was Carlos was the biggest wild card out of everybody. That was like the one domino that needed to tilt over and hit the next one to start putting everything in motion. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the week we get another driver confirmation.
Oh, I would not be surprised either. I would not be surprised. Yeah. I think the biggest question is that Alpine seat. Who goes to the other Alpine seat? Is it? I hope it's Jack Doohan. The man deserves it. But that was even people I know when they were talking about like Carlos and like is Williams even the better idea? And people were like, well, Alpine. Who wants to go to fucking Alpine?
Nobody wants to go to Alpine right now.
Nobody. There's literally no stability there. Like
they're in a shitstorm of a mess at Alpine.
Yeah.
So it just the only person that makes sense is the guy who's already involved in that team.
Yeah.
And that's Jack Doohan. It's.
And I hope Valtteri stays at Sauber, aka Audi. I can't say goodbye to him yet, but I also don't want to lose Joe Guan Yu yet, but I don't know. And then I think it's going to be Daniel Ricciardo in that V-Carb seat, unfortunately. But I have to look it back up. There is something in, I think, Liam Lawson's thing. If they don't put him somewhere by, like, the end of the season, he can leave Red Bull.
Yeah, we're really hearing about that, but I don't know.
I don't know how much truth there is.
Quick.
Yeah, before we move on to our next.
Quick search, just to, like... what we've learned. So this is 2 months ago on the Formula One Reddit. So take that as you will. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Where did it go? Silly season is upon us. Blah blah. I think we didn't get out in 2025. I mean, shuffle in 2026. Where did it go? just go back to the summary. It says, I think Red Bull need to give him a seat for 2025, either Red Bull or Racing Bulls, or else his contract with the team is void and he can go negotiate with another. So, yeah, I mean, listen, from a content creator standpoint, if they don't give him a seat and then it does get voided and then it turns into this carousel again of like, okay, somebody else going to sign him, like, that's great. I would love to see that. But, yeah, I mean, it sucks because it means somebody else is losing their job, but it's, you know.
Yeah, because you see, like, is Audi waiting?
Right.
Because, I mean, I think it's pretty, we all know that I think the kid is talent. So it's like, all right, are they waiting for them to screw it up? And then is that like a thing Red Bull in years when Liam Lawson's probably could be winning races? They're like, yeah, we shouldn't have let him go. But yeah, that was a little longer on the Carlos Sainz news. The other piece of news that came out yesterday, which I'm not shocked about at all. I don't know how you feel, but they put it. There's a statement that was put out that what's his name, Checo Perez is staying at Red Bull.
Yes. The official news was that they are putting their faith in him to find his form again.
Yeah.
And they're locking it in with Checo. I really don't know how I feel about it because we've seen the question that lingers in my mind is we've seen time and time again that Red Bull is known as just the hard cutting, ruthless kind of team where it's, hey, if you're not performing for us, you're out. Which is like, okay, this is a sport where you need to perform. So it makes sense why they would do that. What doesn't make sense in my head is why are we sticking with Checo for so long? You know, and it's just like he's been struggling so much. And it's like I don't know if they're thinking like, okay, he started off the year well, and they're hoping that like, okay, they've seen this year that they're like, that talent exists. The drive and the skill exists there to get us in points, get podiums, finish well. And I don't know. I do think the summer break will be good for him, but I'd be very, very interested to see if there's any sort of reaction is when we come back at the end of August and he has another race where he just doesn't perform, is then the story then going to switch? Is it then going to be right back to, what is Red Bull going to do? I'm very curious to see that. I'm not shocked by it. Like I said, the question just lingers in my head of like what switched in Red Bull from this ruthless team of you haven't performed in 5 races, get out, versus now where it's like, hey, for 2 seasons you've been consistently kind of struggling, but you're good. We believe in you. Like what switched?
So to quote Lewis Hamilton, cash is king, and we talked about this with Mark. Checo brings in more than what he gets paid in sponsorships. I mean, the man we looked it up. The man has a Disney sponsorship. He has Kit Kat. He is backed by one of like the richest men in the world that's from Mexico. Like that's a lot of, now everyone's like, Red Bull doesn't need money. That's a lot of money to be like, to just kick to the curb. I also don't know. There are some new wild rumors going around today that,
well, I saw one before we hopped on. But
do you want me to say it? Do you want me to say it?
Yeah.
So there's rumors going around that Max was told leaving the track Sunday that he would have a new teammate in Zandvoort.
Oh, this is different. This is a different one that I heard.
There's another part to it. And then you see him and Daniel Ricciardo like leaving all buddy-buddy. They share the helicopter back to wherever they were flying to.
Right.
And then it's the second part of this rumor that is coming in. And again, this is because all purely speculation because I haven't really seen it from anyone else. It's from like an F1 insider. That's the source, I think. It's now the second part of the rumor is that Liberty Media stepped in because they are afraid if Red Bull was to let Checo go, it would mean like the tickets wouldn't really sell for the Mexico GP, and they don't want that to happen, and that's why he had his seat saved. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what is true. I think those rumors are they are definitely crazy when you think about it. But I wouldn't put it past Liberty Media to step in and be like, no, because as I said, cash is king. But
yeah,
it's definitely, I think his sponsors, I think the money that he has, but I also think back to this past weekend, and this is kind of going to the race recap right before we get there. Did they see Max Verstappen being stuck behind Charles Leclerc in that Ferrari and being like, oh, is there actually an issue with the car?
Yeah.
Like any other race this season, any other race earlier in the season or whatever, last season, they were overtaking those Ferraris like they were just like a paper in the wind. So, like, do they take a look at that and be like, oh, maybe what Checo has been saying or what the people are like, this car is not what it should be.
Not what it should be.
Yeah, so for now, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the tweet. I found the tweet that I saw, and it says that Formula One rights holder Liberty Media asked Red Bull to reconsider the Perez dismissal. They feared a huge drop in revenue with the Mexican GP without national hero Perez. But
and I totally believe it.
The cards will be reshuffled for 2025. So
yeah, I did see that.
For 2025, the conversation may then be, where's Checo going? Or what's happening? So
well, and when this news dropped yesterday, then automatically everyone was like, "Congrats, McLaren! You're winning your constructorship. You've won it. Like it's yours to take away." And like people are like pissed at the decision. And I was like, if you're a McLaren fan, this is
good.
Perfect scenario.
This is awesome. This is great.
The perfect scenario. Like you just hope McLaren can get their shit together. You go for it.
Here's the way you format it from McLaren fans. Hey, Red Bull is confirming Checo for the rest of the 2025 season. So that means, more than likely, both of your drivers are going to finish ahead of at least one Red Bull for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, you may finish ahead of both of them.
But
like, what's not to like about that?
Why? Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was like, and this is the perfect scenario. But yes, that is the weekly news, and a little bit of other chatter before we move on to Spa. Another good one.
Another good one.
I posted after the race, I said Spa gave us a little bit of everything. Some weather, a fun qualifying, a race where the whole front of the grid was so close together. We haven't seen that in so long. And then a disqualification at the end.
the winning margin, like the total time to encompass George to Oscar was like 1.3 seconds.
Yep.
And like it was a beautiful shot too when they all crossed the finish line. Like boom, boom, boom. It was great. First of all, I was going into this race thinking I wasn't going to be able to watch it, but I was able to watch the whole thing. I'm thrilled about that. I'm so happy that I was able to see it live.
I was ready to tell Dad not to give you spoiler alerts, and then you're like, "No, I watched the whole thing." I was like, oh, "Okay."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." But yeah, I mean, I don't know where to begin. I feel like the only teams that we can really kind of talk about
the front of the grid
are the top four, where it's Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull. Those are like.
I'm saying I can say one thing about Aston Martin. Fernando Alonso did the one stop and did not get disqualified. He also had a one stop strategy. Yeah, F1 posted about it. Yeah, he also did the one step.
How long did he go for?
So he started on the mediums, pitted on lap 13, changed to the hards, didn't come in again. So he went from lap 13 to lap 44 on the hard tires. And he finished P8 with just one pit stop.
Lap 13 to lap 44 on hards?
On the hard tires. And he did it. He didn't
get we should be talking about that more. That's wild.
And right before his birthday. Yeah. the comments on this one. Russell watching this. Russell seeing this post. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that because I saw that the other day and I was like, I wasn't even paying attention to any. So like, they weren't even showing the back half of the grid for I feel like the majority of the race because it was so tight at the beginning. What do we have? So Charles started the race, then Lewis overtook, so he's new race leader. Then Oscar became the new race leader and dropped that banger of a quote: "Clean air is king."
Oh my god, yeah. Awesome quote from Oscar.
Yeah, and then it went to who did it go to next? Did it go to
Lando led at one point, but only due to pit stops. It wasn't any like
yeah, there was only a few to pit stops, but like
yeah,
there was a difference. And then Carlos was there for a while. Like it was, and I thought Carlos was trying to go for the one stop at one point because he was going for a really long time. But yeah, so there was a lot of action at the front. But yeah, I just want to talk about that for Aston Martin real fast. But yeah, like I said, the other, let me look at I can't even tell you where they finished. Let me look. Well, Ocon finished P9. Daniel Ricciardo P10.
Very good.
Oh yeah, Joe DNF'd.
Yes.
Which I thought we were going to have a safety car because he was crawling.
Yeah, but he had a power issue, so he kind of just like rebooted the car, and then
all of a sudden moved, and then like 3 laps later went in. When I saw he was going in, I was like, "Bye, Joe, you're not coming back out."
Yeah, you're not coming back out. Just sucks for him, man. Like,
yeah, can't catch a break.
Yeah.
Williams.
Let's see.
Nothing I can say, but yeah, if you want to talk about the top 4, that's the best. I don't know who you want to start with. We can start with Ferrari.
I was gonna say I could start with McLaren actually.
Oh, I don't care. You can go with McLaren.
But because there's not much to talk about with McLaren because you know ultimately they didn't do a lot. My really kind of only thought from this race for them was I had posted this on Threads too, and a lot of people were agreeing with me. It's so increasingly frustrating to watch McLaren come in. And I mean, how many weeks in a row have we said this now? Like, you come in with the quickest car, or like you're like one of the top contenders for the weekend, and then stupid little mistakes fuck it up for you. And it's just like, we had the start, Lando, not a good start again. He goes wide on turn 1 and hits gravel and drops back like 3 or 4 places. And it's like,
and then stuck behind Max like the majority of the race.
Yeah, and you're stuck behind Max. And then you have Oscar coming into a pit stop, misses his marks, and almost kills his front, like the front wing.
The real driver of the day, the front jack man.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. Like, I was watching that pit stop, and I knew instantly, because you get used to where they stop, and it's like, the moment they're off a little bit, you're like, oh, fuck, he's off his marks. And it was like, the moment he pulled in, I was like, oh, God, he's off his marks. Then you waste like a second, half a second. Yep. The whole team has to shift over. And it's just like, come on. Like,
it really does remind me, I've said it to someone on Threads before, it really does remind me of Ferrari 2022. They are throwing away so many points. So many points. And Lando, I like him. I do. He has got to work on those starts. It is his Achilles heel. It is truly his Achilles heel, because it's not even that he wasn't starting from first and messed it up. He was fourth. Yeah, his starts, he needs to work on his starts. I mean, Oscar, I thought, was the better McLaren driver all weekend. I will have to say.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like it's just like I don't know how else to put it. I really hope that McLaren can kind of, as a team, just like recenter themselves over this break. I mean, you could say this for any team. Any team that is having struggles. It's just go into this break and kind of just be like, all right, we're here. Let's refocus. Let's revitalize ourselves, and then fucking take it to them in the second half of the season. But it's just like, I'm concerned because it's like we saw McLaren do so well, for the first half of the season, or the first, I would say the first half of the season. And then it's like the latter half of the races, they're like, it's almost giving the feeling of like they're burnt out. And then it's like,
that's a perfect way to say it.
Are we going to get to Qatar and Abu Dhabi, at the end of the year? And it's going to be, we're right in the same boat because the team is just so burnt out from competing this way. It's very frustrating to watch. And it's something that I really hope they can figure out. I'm really hoping that they don't come back from this break and we have the same situation the first race, because if we have this situation in the first race, I'll call it now. You miss that Constructors Championship. Goodbye. That is.
Yeah, that people will be pissed if they they're just. And you knew Zach Brown being there after last week was just he was making sure nothing went wrong. I do love that Oscar made him wear that crazy mohawk because he promised him he would make him wear a funny hat or something when he won. So that was funny to see. I remember it coming on and I was like, what the hell is he wearing?
I'll give it to Zach Brown. Whenever his drivers win, he
commits
his word. Yeah.
But yeah, so it is so frustrating with them because we've said for weeks now, they have the fastest car. They have the fastest driver pair. Just fix it. But it's even their driver pair need to. They have mistakes. It's Oscar overshooting the pit lane. It's Lando and the damn starts. There's just things they both need to work on as a team and as drivers, and they will be fine. That Constructors Championship is literally right there for them.
It's
literally on a silver platter right now. And if they can't get it, I don't know. We will hear a very angry Owen on a post-season podcast.
Which, sure, I'm frustrated from the past couple races, but if they end up winning P2, Constructors Champs, that's better than last year. That's two spots better than last year? Yeah, because they finished 4th last year.
Behind Mercedes. Or behind Ferrari.
Right. And it's okay. And they did that. Sure, they finished P2. They improved on the year. That's more money, more prize money. Sure, now, hopefully better improvements, all this stuff. But
they're so close.
It's just, they're literally, right there. And
they can taste it.
Yeah. It's I'm staring at a pie in a window. And it's fuck, that smells good. And it's I can't touch it. I can't do anything with it right now because I'm making all these stupid mistakes. And it's just God damn it. It's just increasingly frustrating to watch. Now, that being said, we're talking about all the struggles, and it's Oscar finished P3 coming off of his maiden win. And it's
did you see the crazy stat of how they've had someone on the podium for 10 consecutive weeks? 10 consecutive races? We sound annoyed and pissed off, and they're not. The way we're talking makes it seem like they're literally losing, but there's so many races they have won. But the fact that they've been there's so many races they could have won, but the fact that they've had that many consecutive podiums is historical.
Huge.
Pretty darn good.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's I said it last week when we had the whole Oscar Lando swapping situation. It's the golf term, it's a good miss. It's wow, I hit that ball fucking horribly, but it ended up in a good spot. It's wow, we're operating and kind of executing this races horribly, but it's okay, but we're still P3. We're still 10 races in a row. We're on the podium. And it's it's just a matter of time of you're not going to be. So
don't throw away the chance. That's right. That's literally the perfect scenario for you this year. Drive to Survive would love that too. I can see it now.
I really love that. And I will hate watching that episode. But
yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I don't think any McLaren fan would watch that episode. Everyone would skip it.
Yeah, right. Skip right over it.
Yeah. Moving on to Ferrari. Not an awful weekend. I don't know where Charles Leclerc pulled that last lap out of his ass. Like, I don't know where it came from. Yeah. Obviously, Max had the penalty, so Max technically was clearly the fastest. When you see the gap between him and I think it was Checo, Charles, Oscar, and Lando, maybe it's wild. I mean, you could fit like six places on the grid between them. Yeah, it was great to see Charles Leclerc back on pole position because it's been forever. Well, it's been since Monaco, but Monaco is an anomaly. And to see him, I held my breath for that entire first lap because I was like, do not. Because, I mean, we talked about it last week, just like where you start on the grid in Spa as first, like it just looks like it's a little bit harder. So he got a great start. And then you had Hamilton and Perez fighting, going wheel to wheel for a little bit, that he was able to get a gap, but they just don't have the pace because Hamilton quickly caught up and overtook them. But yeah, Charles finishes P4, and then after the disqualification, finds out he's P3. And then they put out this graphic that Ferrari is the first team in Formula One history to reach 10,000 points, championship points.
Oh, I did see this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you look it up, someone was like, is it 10,000 exactly? And I looked it up and it was 10,000, like 17. Like that's, they literally just went over. But yeah, that's a huge feat for them. That's cool to see. I think they are moving in the right direction. I don't know if the bouncing problem is finished yet, completed, figured out yet, not finished.
Was there anything with that this weekend? I don't remember hearing anything about that.
I think it was a little bit. I think it was hard because it was also the rain during some of the sessions. But it wasn't, I don't think it was as awful as before. I think Fred keeps hyping up something big is being announced, I think, after summer break. Someone big is being announced after summer break. And then I don't think it's Newey.
There's only one person left that's big on the grid. Like,
no, I think it's Locks. I think it's if I'm not saying his name correct, the LOIC Sarah. Lock Sarah. Or
yeah.
I think he's being announced as the position that Newey would have, which is still huge. And I think upgrades. So hopefully, fingers crossed. We have a lot of street circuits coming up. With Baku, like we have a lot coming up. Vegas. So I hope. I mean, this isn't last year's when Charles Leclerc started turning things around. Then he wasn't out of like the top 3 until that just happened a few weeks ago. Like Canada was the first time he was out of like the top 4 or 5. Like,
oh yeah, I remember this little streak he had going.
He had some crazy stat from last year that was still going. So yeah, fingers crossed it's all good because a close title fight between them and Mercedes could be interesting again, or if they get even closer to McLaren, that would be fun. So, and if you can get his position back in constructors, would be Charles Leclerc specifically. But yeah, that's really all I have for Ferrari.
I'm sitting here thinking about Red Bull. I don't have much for Red Bull. I mean, Max finished 4th. Mm-hmm. That's so. What is that? Yeah. So 4th, that's with the DQ. So net 5th, and Checo finished 7th, net 8th. So it's like, all right, it's just like, I will say it again, I don't think it was this as heavily shown this past weekend, but it definitely feels like they are feeling the pressure. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I know we sound like a broken record saying that, so I'll leave it short with them. But like, they're missing Adrian Newey's input now. I'm 100% convinced that that's it.
Same.
And it's just right now they're struggling, and they're a team that they could really benefit from the summer break and kind of maybe returning to the form of Red Bull that we know with Max and Checo. Yeah. Coming back.
As far as looking something up, I can't find it. there is clear issues with the car. It's not They both keep having the same, like, I think they say keeps like sliding all over the place. I know this Spa was just resurfaced, so that could have been why. But the pace is not there. It's like their Ferrari from last year. They have that quality pace, but race pace, they clearly are not quick. Whatever McLaren has is the perfect mix in that car.
Yeah. I feel like what I've heard a lot this year come from Max, and I may have heard it like once or twice from Checo too, is they can't turn the car. They're like, like I feel like I've had a lot of Max radios being like, I can't turn. Like, and it's, I mean, they are struggling. But I mean, it kind of just goes right back into the same conversation we have in McLaren, where it's like they're slipping on the Constructors' Championships. And it's interesting to see for us because it's like, dethrone Red Bull. That'd be awesome to see. But then from the same time, if you're a Red Bull fan, you're like, what the hell is happening?
I mean, and the last time Max Verstappen won was Canada.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Spain. Yeah. Last time Max Verstappen won was Spain, and that was June 23rd.
That's insane.
We're
over a month now from our last Max Verstappen win.
Yep. Can I just point out, it's just totally random. So that Red Bull sweatshirt that I ordered when we bought from the sale.
Yes.
I've worn it twice. Wore it in Austria. I wore it when the race was in Austria, and I wore it in Spa. Who won both those weekends before being disqualified? George Russell.
Oh my God.
After the race, I was like, when did I wear this last? Because I think I posted it, and Fred was like, are you trying to like work some magic like in Austria? And I was like, maybe, let's see. And then after the race, I was literally like, wait, who won in Austria? And I was like, is this work for George Russell?
It's a magnet for George Russell. That's what it is.
I'll have to test it out again. I'll test it out in not Zandvoort, whatever's after Zandvoort. I'll test it out.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, I can't really say. I feel like for the first time ever, we don't have a lot to say about Red Bull. When before we had not a lot to say about Red Bull because they were winning by 30 seconds with a gap. So, but yeah. Mercedes. Where
to fucking begin?
If you told me last week when we were doing previews that we would have had a Mercedes 1-2 before the disqualification, I would be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, no way.
Absolutely. I thought that was Lewis Hamilton's race to win for the he was on a solid.
Yeah.
Like I was texting Tasia and we were freaking out. I was like, they can't get anything wrong. This is his win. Like that winning in Silverstone woke him up. Like he is ready to go. Yeah,
winning in Silverstone, still kind of like in a way, woke him up. Like he is gunning for victories again. And I mean, like I was watching I would say the last 10 laps, and it was just strictly the battle between George and Lewis. And when they came over the radio and they said, make sure just to leave space for each other, I was like, oh shit, they're letting them race. And then I was like, here we go. And every time
he was getting close,
flying up a Rouge and went flying down the straight, I was like, this is it. This is where Lewis is going to catch him because everything that we knew at the time pointed to that George was going to start having tire dag and that Lewis is going to be able to pass him super easily. And it's like every time he didn't, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, George is a monster right now. Now George is like tapping into like all the collective racing knowledge to ever exist. And
he
was
like, no, let's go for the one stop over the radio. It was like, George Russell, who do you think you are? I was like, what the hell was happening? No, watching that gap, I was like, come on. I was literally screaming. I was like, Lewis, come on. It's right there.
Yeah.
And I literally posted, I said, say it, Bono, say it. Because I so wanted to hear it's hammer time over the TV. Well, yeah. I was waiting for it, but it never came. And then I swear, I think I said this to Dad before I left to go out with Mom Sunday after the race. They show that shot of Toto in the garage as it's getting closer. But Oscar's and because the other Mercedes are wasting tire life because they're defending and fighting. So Oscar's coming flying up. And when I say flying, that kid was flying.
Yeah.
He was in Hamilton's rearview mirror so quick. So there's that shot of Toto in the garage, and his hand is hovering over what looks like his radio button. And then they don't show him press it. They don't broadcast the radio. But I want to know if there was a radio to Lewis saying, back off, because Oscar was coming. Because
Oscar's coming up on you.
I feel like after that moment, that's when you notice the gap. Like, I feel like Lewis didn't try getting any closer or didn't try to overtake any more after that moment. So that's why I want to know, like, was there a radio? And I swear, after the whole thing last week about how they don't want drivers cursing on the radios anymore, we heard, like, no radios this week.
There was barely any. There was none. I'm only thinking the same thing. I'm like, why? I was like, there's been no, like, radios coming over. And even if there was a radio, I don't remember there being a lot of, like, transcripts.
No.
You know, like it being, you know, written out for us.
No, only one. The very first radio was Max, and he's like, what the fuck? First one. But yeah, no, that now, yeah, then the race ends. George wins. Lewis is second. Oscar P3. Great 1-2. It was the quietest cooldown room ever. It was a little, I don't even want to say it was almost awkward, but then that's like, I don't know. It was definitely weird. People were like, Lewis just doesn't want to talk after last week with the comment when he talked to Lando, and Lando like was
snapped at him.
Yeah, snapped at him. And then it comes out literally like what, like an hour later, not even, because I saw you at the shower, and I was like, or you left, and I was like, we get the notification that George could be disqualified because his car was underweight, and it was going to the FIA.
The race ended at 10:40.
Also,
right?
I texted you. I can tell you.
You texted me 12. No. 11:30. Saying George might be disqualified. Like, keep an eye on Twitter. And then I answered you right away, and I was like, I turned on post notifications for Chris Medland. Like,
so I texted you at 12:13 saying that he was under investigation. And then by 12:55 we had that he was disqualified.
He was disqualified. Yeah. It moved really fast. And it's just like,
it's like cut and dry. They knew that was going to be.
I mean, it's very cut and dry, and that's the thing. And Mercedes
decision.
Yeah, the Mercedes representative was summoned to the stewards, and you know they came in and they said that Mercedes was like, "Yep, that's the right weight of the car," and there wasn't any reason why it would be that that would kind of outstand prove that they're not in the wrong, but yeah. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah. It literally was disqualified for being the minimum. So the weight of his car was 796.5 kgs. The minimum weight requirement, thank you to Oscar Piastri for teaching us, is 798 even.
Yep. So
it was 1.5 underweight, which is wild. But then, there's all this stuff now and I think we'll go into this because it's in some of the F1 Threads Mailbag. We can do that next. But I think the reason for what everyone thinks is the reason for it being underweight, because it's a totally different issue from Lewis and Charles getting disqualified last year. Like, that was an issue. It was so, with the plank wear, and it was just, very weird. But there was an instance this weekend. One of the McLarens is going in front of Checo. And Checo's they're running so low to the ground. There were sparks. And people are that's probably noting the Red Bull that, to keep an eye on that, because that could be checked at later and could result into a disqualification, but nothing ever came of that. But everyone is saying, and I think Toto or Mercedes also confirmed that in Spa it's different. There's no cooldown lap. So if you saw them go through the checkered flag, they go up and make a hard turn and go into
a U-turn into the pit lane.
The opposite, in the pit exit, they turn and go down that way. So, to everyone on Threads from last weekend, there was no marbles on the tire.
No marbles on the goddamn tires.
There was no marbles on George Russell's tires. He couldn't go around on a cooldown lap and pick them up to bring the weight up. So that's what they're saying was the result of the car being underweight. But now there's people being they had to have, someone got a number wrong somewhere. They think like that car
Well, that's what Toto apologized to George.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry. You know, he's pretty much was like, I'm sorry that your win was ruined because we as a team messed up. You know, somebody screwed up somewhere. It sucks, but it's, you know, like it's hard to say, but it's like, that's racing sometimes. It's like, that's the sport, you know, it's just, you know, Mercedes still got to win. They still, like, Lewis won the race. You know,
he continues his streak, his ungodly goat thing streak. So then it's decided that he's disqualified, meaning, like Owen just said, Lewis won, Oscar's P2, and Charles Leclerc was P3, which is great. There was pictures of Charles. He didn't leave hospitality until that decision was out.
I'm sure.
It was showing like him leaving and like the sun was almost down. Like he didn't leave until the decision came out from the FIA. What happened? What was going on with George Russell's car?
Yeah.
I mean, Lewis, Charles, and Oscar is kind of a dream podium. I like that podium a lot.
That's a great podium.
Yeah, people were like, we didn't get a podium celebration. I was like, they could do a joint Instagram post, all three of them. We know Lewis and Charles like to do it. So, but yeah, that was the craziness. We've had a lot of craziness in each race coming up, or in the past, and I feel like it's going to continue that way. Before we move on to our new segment, F1 Threads Mailbag, Owen?
I have an ad read. From our new friends at Duracell. F1 Threads
Carlos Sainz's new friends at Duracell.
Yes, Carlos Sainz's new friends. Our F1 Threads mailbag portion of today's episode is brought to you by our new partner and friends, Duracell Portable Power Stations. From the #1 trusted battery brand, Duracell Portable Power Stations and charging hubs allow you to power your laptops, mobile devices, lights, speakers, and any small electronics that make your life easier during a power outage or while away from a wall outlet. I talk all the time about this. I'm a huge gadget person. I love having my phone, my watch, my iPad, my laptop all around me. I consume technology like it's nobody's business, and I need to charge that technology. It's probably very unhealthy for me, but I need to charge that technology. And I do so using these power stations. It's awesome. It's a great way just to kind of be on the go, charging anything, anything you need. It's got it. It's so good. I can't, say enough good things about it. It's a really good utility to have. So with that, please click the link in the description below and check out the Duracell Portable Power Stations, including their 2024 Red Dot Award-winning M150 and M250 models, and untether your device charging from the wall and power the possibilities with Duracell Portable Power Stations. Before we jump into F1 Threads Mailbag, can I do a quick Constructors and Driver Championship standings?
Yes, you can.
Especially now with the George DQ.
Mm-hmm.
So like normal, I'm just going to do the top 5 drivers and kind of highlight that because I think they're the most.
No, include 6. Include 6 because Lewis is close to Carlos.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so in first place, pretty much may have this kind of in the bag. We have MaxVerstappen with 277 points. Second place, we have Lando Norris. He has 199 points. He's right on the barrier of 200, so he'll definitely cross that next race. Right behind him, we have Charles Leclerc with 177 points. Very closely behind him, we have Oscar Piastri in 4th with 167 points. That's only a 10-point difference between Oscar and Charles, which if we could get a McLaren 2-3 in the Drivers' Champs, that'd be wild.
Listen, I love Oscar, but if he overtakes Charles in the championship, like his overtake on Charles during the race was beautiful. Yeah. In the championship, no.
No. But also closely behind Charles, closely behind Oscar, we have Carlos Sainz, the new Williams driver. He's sitting there in 5th with 162 points, so just 5 points separate him and Oscar. Very closely behind him, Lewis Hamilton in 6th with 150, and then I'll mention it just because he's making headlines. Checo Perez is in 7th with 131 points. Yeah. And then we will rip right down the 10 places for constructor standings. First place, kind of in question now. Red Bull, 408 points.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah. Second place is McLaren with 366 points. It's very close. Ferrari, third place, 345. Mercedes, fourth place, 266.
That's where it stops.
Yeah. Fifth place is Aston Martin with 73 points. Sixth place is VCarb with 34. Seventh is Haas with 27. Eighth is Alpine with 11. Ninth, Williams with 4 points. And now the only team on the grid to never score any points during any races is Kick Sauber in 10th with 0 points.
Mm-hmm. And if you're curious, Ollie Behrman is still in 14th place with 6 points.
Ollie Behrman is still in 14th place.
Above Gasly, Magnussen, Ocon, Albon, Guan Yu, Sargent, and Bottas.
Yes.
He's tied right now with Gasly. But yes, okay. Moving on to F1 Threads Mailbag. Some of these questions
Mailbag.
we may have answered when we were doing our recap. We can just quickly say something quick about them. But I'll go through. We have actually decent amounts from. We have but people send in multiple, so which they normally do. But yeah, we have a few. So new follower, and he followed our podcast today. Also, Ahmed, shout out to you. This
Welcome.
is in regards. Well, yeah, welcome. He asked some questions in regards to Perez and that whole situation. This first one also just want your opinion on the statement by Horner regarding Checo. Is a driver swap still on the cards because Checo could go to VCarb on loan, in quotes, and still be a, quote, Red Bull Racing driver? He would still be committed, quote, to the team for the rest of the season. I need to do more research on this. Again, I saw it. I need to look it up, see if it's actually true. If Helmut Marko actually said this, and I know that's a load. That's a lot to say because he never can take anything he says seriously. I think there was a time Helmut Marko was explaining Checo's contract and why it's different from other Red Bull drivers, for example, Albon and Gasly, because they came up through the Red Bull Junior program. So their contracts kind of like an NHL where they can have a one-way or a two-way contract.
Right.
So I think Gasly and Albon had a two-way contract. That's why they could be sent back to AlphaTauri or wherever so easily and so quickly. Yeah. He was saying, and again, this could be speculation, this could be totally wrong, but what I read is that Checo's contract is only Red Bull. So it's not as easy to send him back or put him on loan in VCarb because he is only a Red Bull driver.
Right.
Daniel Ricciardo probably has, quote unquote, a two-way contract. He can go from VCarb to Red Bull easily.
As needed, yeah.
Yeah. So, and if all this speculation is true, I don't think they will loan him out to VCarb. I think he finishes out the season as Red Bull, but then I think there's a change next year if it gets worse. That's my quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn on this because it's I feel like I always take the middle ground, and I feel like I'm going to do it again. It really depends, I feel like, heavily on the first race coming out of summer break for Checo.
Yeah.
If he can come back and perform well, I can see him staying at Red Bull the rest of the year. And then kind of finishing his career at Red Bull. And then, 2025 to me is completely open in the matter of the Red Bull second seat. If Checo comes back, like we said, and has a miserable race and doesn't score any points or scores little points, that's another question. And I would say that the driver swap is still in the air. Like you're saying, Case, since he has that quote unquote one-way contract, it's a lot harder to do, but I could see Red Bull doing it, So
no, I agree.
Yeah, I know that doesn't really answer the question, but it really just depends on this first race back. Yeah,
no, the first race is key. I think it's also actually Zandvoort. I don't think Zandvoort leads to much overtaking, but that's also what I could be wrong.
Right.
Next question from Ahmed still. We've also kind of touched on this, so it could be a quick answer. Does Red Bull retaining Perez for the rest of the season mean McLaren are in the driving seat for the rest of the season to win the World Constructors Championship? Yeah, they are.
That's a big old yes.
Like we said, it's on that silver platter, perfectly there waiting for them. It's literally theirs to lose.
Yep.
Essentially. It is their championship to lose. No, it's not good at all.
No.
But yeah, that's what I have to say for that question, to be the quick answer. Next question, also about Checo, from Jennifer Scott. Hello. Also said they followed our podcast today.
Nice.
If things don't improve with Checo staying through 2024, could this nudge Max towards Mercedes?
No. I'll say this. The thing that can nudge Max more towards Mercedes than his driving partner, the car's performance and development. That is something that would probably weigh heavier on Max, because we know Max likes to win. We know that he wants a challenge, but he loves to win, as any of the F1 drivers do. So if Red Bull starts falling down in the car development process and starts becoming, I don't think this would ever happen, but if Red Bull starts becoming more of like a midfield team,
oh yeah, that's
or even to me like a 6th to 9th place team somewhere back there, I could see him using that more of a reason than his driving partner to move to a different team.
No, I agree. If those speculations that we talked about earlier with Checo and how he was promised, he was told he was going to have a new teammate, almost said roommate, a new teammate by Zandvoort, could that affect his relationship more with Red Bull if it's already rocky to begin with after everything that happened at the beginning of the year? Maybe, but again, I think those are purely speculation. I don't know how much I believe them, but yeah, I don't think that Checo problem is going to steer Max towards Mercedes, because when you think about it, Max won both of those championships for Red Bull last year. So he's done it once. He could probably do it again if they get the car figured out. So yeah, no, I don't think so. Next question, which we also talked about, so we can quickly say it again, is from Rachel. It says, I'm curious about the real cause of the underweight of the underweight Mercedes, and if we don't know what the leading theories are. I do truly believe there was a numbers crunch somewhere wrong, and it is the marbles that the tires didn't get to pick enough up. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, the only other thing, the story of George's disqualification is that when they weighed the car after the race, it still had some fuel left in it. And then after they drained the fuel from the car, they weighed it again. That's when it weighed less than the minimum weight. So I'm firm. I would say it more leans towards somebody just fucked up somewhere. It sucks. It sucks for George. It sucks for Mercedes as a team. But somebody typed a 7 on a calculator instead of a 9. That's all it was. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about, because we saw what George did with these tires and everything, and during this race, and we were all in shock that he made hard tires last 34 laps on the longest lap in the F1 calendar. And it's like, holy shit, this is insane. And then you hear this and it's like, okay, so that kind of lends, a little bit more credit to it. I wanted to look up what 1.5 kilograms to 2 pounds is 3.31 pounds.
That's a lot. So
that's a lot. That's a decent chunk. And it's just, there's no other way to put it than it just like, it sucks, but it sucks, I would say, a little bit more for Mercedes, just because they have to go into the summer break now with that, but that might be like a double-edged sword where it's just like, okay, we can, refine ourselves, retune ourselves, come back stronger. But we also don't have another race like next weekend where we can kind of just be like, hey, folks, like, talk about this now.
Yeah, this story's going to follow them for a while.
Yeah.
We get the Kimi news a little earlier for that reason.
Right. This story will stay in the F1 news cycle a little bit longer because it's the summer break now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely say somebody just screwed up. Somebody fingered a couple numbers on a calculator, and it sucks.
And I do think, because obviously they go into the race knowing they can't do a cooldown lap. So I think, and I do believe the one stop was an on-the-fly decision, unless I had some sneaky pre-race meeting without Lewis and the other side of the garage.
Right.
And decided on it, but I do think that was an on-the-fly decision because, George's radio made it seem like that.
It literally goes, I think we should think about a one-stop.
So yeah, I don't think... Yeah, they knew they couldn't get the marbles afterwards, but yeah, I do think there was a human error there or a computer error there somewhere, which is unfortunate.
I understand the marbles thing where it's like that does add extra weight just because it's extra material on the car, but it's like the teams go into these races knowing exactly what's going to happen afterwards. It wasn't like they crossed the finish line and in that 200-yard, 300-yard kind of area, they got a radio where it was like, don't do a cooldown lap and come right into the pits. It's just, like I said, it sucks. It's whoever that Mercedes employee is. I feel so bad because I can't imagine finishing that race and then being like, fuck, that was my fault. But yeah, it is what it is. And
I think because the disqualification with Lewis and Charles from last year in COTA was more, although it was not a strange reason, but a reason that doesn't happen often, there was a clear cut and dry answer as to why they were both DQ'd.
Yes.
So I think that's why there's more why there's more questions over this one, because it's how did they make the car underweight by 1.5?
Right.
There's just, I do understand why people have more questions about it.
Yeah. And it's not like Mercedes is going to come out directly and be like, here's Michael. Mm-hmm. He screwed up the calculation.
Let's all laugh at him.
Right. And they're not going to do that. So it is going to be this kind of error of just what happened? But yeah, Michael screwed up a calculator input. Michael,
it's all your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was our brand new fun segment, F1 Threads Mailbag. As always, we thank everyone on Threads for the continued support and sending in questions each week.
They're such good questions.
Always. Do you have anything else to add for it closes out?
I have nothing.
Oh, well, the way you paused, I thought you had something to say.
Well, I was trying to think, just rack my brain, but no, I got nothing.
Okay. Thank you.
Close it.
Yeah, I will close it. Thank you for you gotta get that soundboard set up.
Oh my god, I can get the movie thing. Yes.
Yeah, you have to get it set up. So yes, thank you for joining us for episode 70 of F1 Underground. We will be back next week. It is summer break. I can't tell you what we will be talking about. I'm sure we'll have Pines and Pit Stops. It's been a while. History though, and something. Someone did give me a good topic on Threads or something, so I have to find it.
Yeah, you texted it to me.
Oh yeah, okay, good. So yeah, we'll have something to talk about. We will be back next week, like I said. I'm sure there'll be more silly season news. You never know what we're gonna get.
I hope. I really hope.
Yeah. As like I said, we say every week, all of our socials are at the bottom of the screen. Please go give us a follow over on Threads and Instagram at UndergroundF1 and over on Twitter at Underground_F1. Please give us a like, subscribe, rate wherever you listen to a podcast or your podcasts are available. Also subscribe over on YouTube for all different shows, and more importantly, Light the Flame, the Underground Olympic podcast, which is underway. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, we'll be back for next week for episode 71. Thank you.
Well, listen to Casey on Light the Flame. Talk about people doing full flips and shit.
Okay, bye.